In this ASMR Showcase Ramble Oracle video, I want to showcase the Threadbound Oracle. I got this, I think, last Christmas. I had my eye on it for a long time, and I was given it, I believe, for Christmas last year. I haven't really used it much, mostly because I have so many decks, and we're going to learn about it a little bit together today, because I think the other thing that it's intimidated me, because there seems to be like a lot of different layers to it, which I don't think is a bad thing, but I think, oh, I'm not, using it how it's meant to be used, even though I don't think that's what they intend. I think they intend rather that there's many layers, just like if you're reading a book, right? You can read it for like one layer, deeper layer. But anyway, so we're going to kind of learn about that together. I'm going to show you the cards like I do in these Ramble videos. So just literally go through the cards, maybe read a bit of like the introduction, or like how this deck is designed to be used, or the different ways in which it's designed to be used. And then I'll try to do a reading at the end. So first of all, just a couple of things. This is the back, the cards, right? Like it's a little thread, and the box is really cool because it actually is like a book, right? And it's got a magnetic closure from the Library of McCloud. So the box itself is just really neat. It says paper, ink, thread, sun, moon, stars. A magical library deck for asking questions, seeking answers, and finding a family among the books. So I'm going to leave this mysterious card here by itself while we read a little bit of the guidebook. So here's a guidebook. It's nice, and it's not like an enormous chunky monkey, but it's a good chunky one. And it fits within the box. And you can see there's a lot of information, so they make the most of the space. So let's see. Like I said, I don't know this deck in and out. Can't seem to get the light the way I want it. I don't have a very sophisticated setup, and I like it that way. But sometimes I notice things that I don't like. Like here's me making shadows. Alright, so I'm just gonna kind of scan through parts of the beginning, like the introduction, and then sort of note them to you. So let's see, it was funded through Kickstarter, So it says, I created the deck for a character to use in my novel, The Thread That Binds. I also based the deck itself on the story and featured the characters on the cards. The story has to do with magic bookbinding, storytelling, and the bonds we make or break between ourselves. And that's what the deck became about as well. And it says, I've always been delighted by complex meta explorations of theme and meaning across media formats. So that's what I've created here. And continues to talk about different things. Like, I don't want to sort of like let it, let there be some mystery. So if you want to get the deck, you'll learn about it. But I'm just trying to pick phrases and things that hopefully give you a taste for what this deck is about. Let's see. The core message of the Threadbound Oracle is exactly that. We are all connected, sometimes for good, sometimes for ill. Some bonds grow, and others must be cut. When all else falls away, our companionship with each other, ourselves, and the world around us is what will make this life worth living. And it's a 50-card deck. It's kind of got a tarot-like structure. It has 29 story cards and 21 suit cards. And the 21 suit cards are paper, ink, and thread. And the story cards are kind of like the major arcana, and they have, says, larger narrative archetypes, found in fiction, such as the protagonist, the seer, and the healer. They're mostly people, but there can also be places and other archetypal elements, like the garden, the song, and the end. And this each suit has its own creative journey from Ace to 7. And let's see. And for example, paper begins with the Ace's pulp, which is the fiber before it's made into paper, and ends with the cover card depicting a finished journal. And let's see. This is how to use this deck. You can do it for divination. You can do it for, it says storytelling. So if you're trying to work on just your writing, you know, like to help with that. And it has some examples of how you could do that. Pull a card or several cards and use their title or keywords as a writing prompt. It says take the protagonist and antagonist cards out of the deck, then shuffle and place cards next to them to determine the conflict for your story. And there's a number of other suggestions. And I need to double check, but yeah, it also has a lot of, like, for each card there's questions to ask, which I think is really great. You know, some decks have things like journal prompts and stuff like that. And I think, if I remember, that's actually one of the a strong suit of this deck. So she doesn't, or they don't, sorry, I'm gonna say they because I can't remember right pronoun. Let's see. I'm not sure. So they don't, as far as I can tell, specifically this, like, some people say, oh, we'll use this for introspection, but maybe it's this because it kind of goes without saying. Because each of the descriptions are very meaty, and there's an awakened side, a shadow side, a description, and then questions to ask. So they're really, just like any oracle or tarot deck, you really could use it for divination, you could use it for introspection, and it looks like because of the particularities of how this deck was created, why they created it, how they created it, that it can also be used as like a writer's tool or a storytelling tool. And let's see, you know, and then they talk about, obviously, like, you can throw out the descriptions and just look at the image itself and read things intuitively. There's a companion fantasy novel called The Thread That Binds, and I think they might have just come out with another book. Let's see what else. And there's sort of, it says welcome to the library, and it gives information on sort of going into the deck. The books are restless, and so are you. As you step off the train, you find yourself before an elaborate stone gate. Driven onward by curiosity, you walk until you arrive at a beautiful building in the shape of a whelk shell. The white and peach stucco looks well cared for, and round stained glass windows dot its sides. The grand letters carved over its wide double doors read, "The Eternal Library." I'm skipping paragraphs too, so let's see. The library is full of people from all over the world, of all ages, appearances, genders, callings, and faiths. You're the protagonist of your own story, and your actions will shape what happens next. You pull the cards from your bag and feel their comforting weight in your hands. How will you interpret your story today? I just read a few sentences out of what is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think 8 paragraphs. So I probably just butchered that, but I wanted just to kind of give you an idea of like how the deck is set up to be used almost like you're walking into a story, like, you know, because it's tied to the creation of their story, as well as, you know, trying to help us with our own stories. So anyway, let's go ahead and start working with the deck without further ado. Let me start showing you guys the cards. and then I'll do a 3-card pull. So I've re-put them not necessarily quite in order, but I've put the suits in their Ace through 7 order, and I've separated out the story cards, but those are not necessarily in order. So this says the chance, trust, body, catharsis. I really love the art in this deck. I love the art, I love the theme. So the book, identify, consciousness, and manifest. And let's see. Sorry, sometimes my hands shake. In the end, what I found was that there is nothing stronger than the bonds we form, the threads that bind us, and furthermore, that it's not an end at all. Understanding how we can all live and work and love together instead of apart is the study of many lifetimes, yours and mine spiraling into eternity. There's just so much liveliness in the colors in this deck. The ritual, magic, power, and action. And it's a very inclusive deck, so if that is something you're looking for, especially in a deck that has people, I know sometimes people, when they're looking for an more inclusive deck, shy away from people decks. There's a family, kinship, belonging, collaboration. So what's nice about this one is it's designed to be inclusive of people of different, genders, sexualities, ages. This is the festival, celebration, fun, material goods. And if inclusivity offends you, I don't care. You can go watch another video. The antagonist, opposition, deceit, and malice. Even the black and white cards, just there's a vividness to the color. Oops, sorry, keep hitting the thing. This is the author, spirituality, devotion, higher powers. The artist, creativity, ingenuity, labor. So I definitely think this is a deck that is good. Caveat, I haven't really used it much. I think I've used it like once or twice since the end. But I liked the guidebook reading and the questions that it had. But from what I understand, from what I know about the creation of this deck, as well as like the imagery, is does it probably appeal to people for multiple reasons. One, if you really like the artwork, this is the flame, wildness, passion, destruction. If you like books, storytelling, paper, ink, libraries, bookstores, if you're a book fiend, the teacher, structure, guidance, legacy, then I think it would appeal to you for that reason. This is the train, transition, travel, liminal space. If you're someone who likes sort of decks that are kind of like tarot oracle hybrid, I think this kind of fits in there because of the way it's structured. The child, vulnerability, needs, and potential. What does it say there? Well, it says welcome. Yeah, welcome. And then, like I said, if you're looking for a more inclusive deck that shows representations of people of various, I don't know what the right word is, the weaver, patterns, connections, mediation. I think the best word is just inclusive, like people of many types. So we are all different. The waters, belief, rejuvenation, rest, different and the same. I think what's nice about a deck like this too that has that is like kind of a reminder of that, right? Like the gardens, pause, safety, and secrets. That we all go through the same stories, you know what I mean? No matter what our differences are, you know, the sun, nourishment, optimism, leadership. Like we don't have the same story, exact same stories. We don't have the same intensity of the different aspects of the stories of life, but we're all human beings. You can see the stars, luck, hope, and wishes. I like black and white here. It's really pretty. Definitely love the colors in this deck. The song, Heart, Harmony, and Messages. Said wound. Would you listen to the sound of my heart? Let me see. As it sings out loud through you. And then would you stay with me? Would you be true? Then we have the seer, intuition, divination, foresight. We have the protagonist, which is curiosity, drive, motivation. It's a neat card too, I like that image. We have the reader, interpretation, choice, agency. We have the mountain, that's neat. Challenges, adversity, and endurance. I thought I had these all facing the same direction. This is weird. Okay, the moon, cycles, cleansing, destiny. The mirror, truth, inquiry, and reflection. Yeah, I just can't get over the colors. It's so rich. The library, knowledge, resources, and history. The healer, compassion, recovery, consent. The dreamer. Let's see. Read that first word. Well, my lighting in here is not great. Definitely the last two are desire and exploration. I'm sure it'll say in the guidebook. The color's just a little dark right there. I do not mind though. Let's see, the companion, partnership, support, and reliability. And then here we get into the different suits. So this is, I have put in order, and so we're starting out with a suit of paper. So it's the ace of paper, it's pulp, and then there's keywords: malleability, aptitude, and versatility. I'd say this is a good deck too if you're a word person. You know, words like, because there's a lot of good big words. Two of paper, page, options, decisions, and dreams. Three of paper, fold, transformation, learning, and change. And this next thing is how, definitely, if you're a book binding, book creator, maybe book conservationist, you'll like things like this. The fourth paper is signature, and I don't think they mean written signature. I think they mean signatures of books. Tradition, organization, and planning. Yeah, if they're talking about organization, that's probably what they mean. Five of paper, cut, loss, betrayal, and finality. Yeah, because we're using like different things to make a book. So like glue. Six of paper is glue. Mending, healing, reconciliation. I wonder if this creator ever worked for like a book binder, or it's done like book making, or worked in book conservation. Seven of paper, cover. Protection, beauty, and wholeness. The ace of ink, pigment. So we're into our next suit. I don't know why my brain just went out of my mind. We have alchemy, process, and experimentation. The 2 of ink is a medium, balance, purpose, and setting. The 3 of ink is well, so like an ink well, abundance, joy, resourcefulness. The 4 of ink is pen, and this is manifestation, communication, and clarity. It's really neat. I like the different words and the different colors. The 5 of ink is solvent, mistakes, forgiveness, mercy. The 6 of ink is calligraphy, fluidity, skill, and patience. The 7 of ink is illumination, accomplishment, realization, and pride. The Ace of Threads is fiber, wandering, warmth, and gentleness. The 2 of Threads is twine, agreement, symbiosis, compromise. The 3 of Thread, which is actually the cover of the guidebook. So this is the cover image on the guidebook. The 3 of Thread is a knot, promises, bonds, and remembrance. The 4 of Thread is the loom, boundaries, community, and responsibility. The 4 of Thread is the needle, pain, shock, and trauma. Some reminds me a lot of the 3 of Swords imagery. The 6 of Thread is stitch, repetition, rhythm, and technique. It's a neat image. And then the 7 of Thread is tapestry or tapestry. Can you say it both ways? I'm not sure. Interdependence, wisdom, and ancestry. So that's the deck. Like I said, very beautiful, very vibrant colors, very inclusive, very cool idea in terms of its structure. So I'm going to slide this in your view while I shuffle, just so you have something to look at. Let me try to shuffle this a little better than I sometimes do, since I had put it back into somewhat of an order. But I'll make sure to after I cut the deck, to just pick randomly throughout the deck. That way there's sort of like 3 levels of trying to mix things up. And I'm going to do like I do in other videos that I've done like this, where my 3 cards, I'm not necessarily going to choose ahead of time how I read the 3 cards, probably loosely, like a past, present, future, but if a different story presents itself to me, we'll go with that. And I'll first sort of look at the imagery of the cards and see if I see anything that really jumps out at me as either connected, whether in a positive or negative way, or either similar or different, not so positive or negative, but similar or different. And if I need like a tiebreaker card, I can always pull another card. So let's pull that out a little bit so you can see. Can go back in now. Nope. All right. Let's look and see what we've got. So, and as always, I encourage you, if you want to read it for your own self, is once I turn over the cards, pause it, look at the card yourself, think about the images. That's what I'm going to do. And then I'll read each description that they have in the book for the cards, and then see if that changes or adds or changes how I read. And I'm not going to do like reversals, so This is a 2 of paper page, options, decisions, and dreams. Then we have the sun, nourishment, optimism, and leadership. Looks like there's an inkwell. And then the third card we have is the dreamer. Well, that was that one. I guess we'll find out what that word is because, but there's definitely desire and exploration. Alright, so let's first look at these, see what kind of things come in common. So, a couple of things that jump out to me, or I'm just going off my head, so it's a ramble, right? This one, the 2 paper page and the dreamer, both are surrounded by the blue as well as stars, or what look to me like stars in this one. So both that sort of rich, varied blue colors and then stars. And I'm going to pull this a little closer so I can see. Actually, I'm going to take it out for a second and put it back in. So this one also has different moons, as well as it looks, I think, like the sun. Whereas this one is just the sun, sort of overtaking. And then both this one and this one involve the rainbow. This one in a much more dramatic fashion, as well as like the entire card is very bright. It really stands out between these 2 blue and black ones. But this one almost is like a culmination of those 2 first ones, because we've got a lot of like white or kind of cream, black and blue. We've got lots of bright, rich colors. And then here we have the black, blue, and the rich rainbow colors. So I definitely see sort of a connection of the first and last cards, as well as this like as a culmination of the first 2 cards. And then in terms of the keywords, let's see if anything jumps out. So we have options, decisions, and dreams. So we have dreams in this one, and the dreamer, another connection there. Then the middle one, nourishment, optimism, and leadership. Leaders do have to make decisions. And then with the dreamer, we have that exploration and desire. So, let's go ahead and read from the book. I don't yet have a sense of my own sort of story from it, other than I do like that these 2 sort of culminate over there. I don't know why. Like, I don't have a reading on it beyond that. But I like that and it both like book those colors bookmark that central color too. It really makes that central card jump out. So let's see, 2 of paper. 2 paper. All right. Now we're getting to the good stuff. Well, the cards are good stuff, but if you've watched my other videos, you know I love a guidebook. 2 of paper, page. The awakened keywords are options, decisions, and dreams. The shadow keywords are dualism, indecision, and mental block. The 2 of paper is the page. Though there are 2 scrolls of paper on the card, it really represents the back and front sides of a single sheet of paper. This card encourages us to consider all our options, especially the ones we might not initially think of. Do you have to choose one side of the paper, or can you use both? The blank page can also represent a fresh start and open potential. You need to image in your head before you write, draw, or fold the paper into a brand new creation. Even if it's just the ghost of an idea or feeling, you're making a decision and moving forward. Dreaming and imagining is important to figuring out what we want before we do it. In shadow, we only see one side of the page. We may fall into black or white thinking, where there's no gray options in between. This can narrow down our possibilities and cause distress. We may feel blocked when it comes to dreaming up what we want to put on the page, deepening the problem. Alternatively, we may see all the possible options and become indecisive about them. Sometimes having too much free choice can make us stop in our tracks and feel overwhelmed. Questions to ask. What choices do I have before me? What are my options? Do I need to make a decision about something? What do I want to put down on my blank page? How am I envisioning that? Are my options broader than I realize? Am I using black or white thinking? Am I feeling blocked? Can I use both sides of the paper? So let's go on to the middle card, which is the sun. Let's see if I know how to spell. Okay, these are in alphabetical order. The sun, the awakened keywords are nourishment, optimism, and leadership. The shadow keywords are hunger, pessimism, and lack of direction. The sun feeds the earth and thus us in turn. It's like creating all the nourishing abundance we need to survive. I feel really stupid, just FYI, because earlier I was like, I guess that's the sun. Note, the sun. Okay. The sun feeds the earth and thus us in turn. It's like creating all the nourishing abundance we need to survive. The bright light of the sun reminds us of what's good and beautiful in life, shining its rays down on flowers and fields and rainbows and glimmering cities. Its warmth brings happiness. When we, as people, embody the light of the sun, we become beacons for others to look to and follow. This card indicates a time of plenty, both present and future. A person taking on the role of the sun is likely to be inspiring and a good leader. Is it you? In shadow, the sun is blocked by clouds or eclipsed by the moon. Without the light, crops can't grow, the life cycle is interrupted, and we may find ourselves wanting when it comes to certain emotional or physical resources. The sun in shadow can indicate a pessimistic outlook or a lack of direction. It's hard to be excited for the future when you can't imagine good things ahead or imagine what's there at all. We may feel restless or upset without understanding why. Someone embodying the role of the shadow sun may also be an authoritarian leader, dictator, or simply leading people in the wrong direction. Questions to ask. Where do I find the most nourishment? Is it around me now? What do I have to look forward to in the future? Can I imagine good things coming to me? Am I being called to a leadership position? Or does this card represent a leader I should follow? Is this person, or am I, a good leader? Am I struggling with pessimism or hungering for resources I don't have? So let's go on to the dreamer. All right. Awakened keywords are imagination, desire, and exploration. And shadow keywords are nightmares, escapism, and fear. The dreamer walks through the realm of spirit and imagination confidently, seeking the people, things, and situations they desire most. In dreams, anything is possible. We can explore ideas that might feel dangerous or embarrassing to admit while we're awake. Dreams can show us how we really feel, even when we won't admit it to ourselves or to others. The dreamer is someone who can look at their dreams, whether actual nighttime fantasies or daytime wishes for the future, with a keen eye for what's really being said beneath the surface and symbolism. The shadow dreamer, however, may be more interested in hiding from those truths. Sometimes we use dreams to escape a harsh reality. This is not always a bad thing. Escapism can be a useful tool to endure difficult situations, but it can also be detrimental if there's something we really do need to face. Alternatively, this card and shadow aspect can indicate dark dreams and nightmares, fed by our fears or past traumas. Nightmares can re-traumatize us, or they can help us process emotions that are too scary while we're awake. It's up to you to recognize what they're saying and what their purpose is in your waking life. Questions to ask. What have I been dreaming about lately, literally or figuratively? What is my deepest desire? What new things am I curious about trying or doing? Are my dreams realistic, and do I need them to be? Am I trying to escape from something I don't want to face? What troubles have I been avoiding that are leaking out through my subconscious? Let me look back again at the cards and the keywords. One thing that jumps out at me personally, actually, both this card and each side involve dreams, so the dreamer, this one and dreams over there. But when I go to bed, because I have issues with nightmares, I say this prayer about leading me into the valley of nightmares and dreams, and then back up again out to the top of the mountain, which is the waking world. Because when you're on the top of the mountain, right, you can talk to other people in different peaks, but when you're in the valley, you can't really see them. And so, to me personally, this card feels like that image with the mountains in the back feels like she's in the dream, right? She's in the valley. So I guess maybe that's how I should read this, is maybe thinking of the theme of dreams and dreaming and dreamers, and whether that is night, even though this kind of jumps out at me, thinking about nighttime dreams because of that imagery of the valley and the mountain. I think it might be more meaningful to me, though, to read the cards thinking about dreams in daytime, partly because my nighttime dreams are a lot of nightmares, and it's not that I don't want to think about them, but it's like really hard to make heads or tails sometimes. And I'm at a point right now in my life where dreams are important, like daytime dreams, whether or not I am both able-bodied, able-minded, or accessible, sort of able. Dreaming about possibilities is important. And so I think in looking at this, I see this as sort of like a prodding to explore that, and to really think of this as like really entering that dream and all those rainbows of possibilities. And then in the end, being able to weave that all together and decide, which colors do I like and how do I want to weave them into a story, right? Like, there's the ink and the book. So it's also like, what dreams are meaningful to me? What do I want out of life? And then how am I going to write? And it also looks like they're reading, right? So like it almost, to me, that looks like someone who's doing an oration. Their hand is open. So it's like, how are you going to manifest that dream? How are you going to express it? And are you reading to yourself, which is you can do? Are you reading to others? So yeah, and like I said, this is a ramble video, so I'm really just trying to think if there's anything else that I'd want to say personally about this. I do think, to me, this reading is a lot about focusing on the dreams, focusing on the possibilities, focusing on sort of the cornucopia of colors, right? Like, especially because things can sometimes look really dark, both in terms of nighttime dreams, but also just in terms of like life outlook. So it's good to remember whether or not your dreams come true, or whether or not you're able to do them or able to meet them. It's a good thing to have them, and to remember that the world is bigger than we can imagine. I'm trying to dig into my mind and really try to think if there's something, like how to focus that. I'm actually going to pull the dreamer card again. I mean, pull the questions to ask, because, okay, yeah, what is my deepest desire? What new things am I curious about trying or doing? Are they realistic? Am I trying to escape? What troubles have I been avoiding? I think my troubles, a lot of them are pretty, like, up in my face, so I don't know that I'm really avoiding them. But yeah, I think I'm at a place where I am afraid also of those daytime dreams. Like, I both think it's important for me to think about them, or like imagine possibilities, but I'm also like afraid to imagine possibilities because of where I'm at. Partly because I don't know that the things I would want to do are possible to do, and also because of what's happened to me the past couple years, where something that I didn't think was possible was able to become possible until, I'm trying to phrase this in a way that doesn't get me in trouble. Until something was done to me to basically pull all of that out from under me. So years and years of having worked to be able to do something. And by able, I mean like able as in like ability and disability. So sort of being afraid, like, is it possible to re-enter the world in a way in which I am able to function? It's actually making me want to cry because I don't know the answer. I know I don't have to have the answer. But so yeah, so I guess it really is a lot of dreams and nightmares, all, like sort of basically one of my biggest fears happened, like really weird. But I think even though I am afraid of sort of the nightmare scenario, or even not the nightmare scenario, but like the bad scenario, it's still important to dream. And that may be, ironically, the nightmare is giving me some space to dream. I don't know if the dreams can be made real, but to really try to think creatively about how to be functional in the world in the way that I can be. Yeah, I don't know. At some point in here, I may actually be able to talk more openly. I never probably will in total particulars, but a time is coming when I think I'll actually be able to. It's like, not that anybody cares, but I care, because when I sit here and try to talk through like my reading, it makes it hard when I'm trying to think like, okay, how do I say something without saying something? Anyway, all of this ramble, which, like I've said in previous videos, if you're watching this for the ASMR ramble, you gotta ramble for sure. If you're watching it for the cards, you're probably like, why the hell is she still talking? In which case, hopefully you've clicked away. But like I've said before, these videos are as much for me as they are for anybody else. They help me learn to read my cards. But I think what I'm going to take away today is focus on my dreams. And by my dreams, I mean my daydreams, not my night dreams. And that this card, well, it's really all of them. The Dream and the Dreamer card with the night, the blue and the night stars, and then the hills, and then the day, the sun, the daydreams, as well as the imagery of the valley and mountains that I use in my night prayer about being led into the world, the dream world. Really makes me think this is meant to be reading about dreams for me, and particularly about daydreams, about dreams that are happening, that are about sort of quote unquote real life dreams. I don't know what else to call them. And a reminder that dreams are just that, dreams. Like, be as inspired, using that ink to build those stories, be as inspired as I can, be as imaginative as I can, use all the colors in the crayon box, right? Because I might not be able to do it what I, like to do, but how am I going to know what I even want to do without dreaming about the possibilities? So I think it's a really good reminder for me to, like, nothing's off the table. I mean, lots of things are off the table, but in terms of dreams, they're not. So throw them all out there and sort of see what comes out, see what, shakes out. And yeah, so that's what I got out of this reading for me. Hopefully you also got something out of it for you. Whether that's just sort of seeing those images in a row, those keywords, or the readings from their book, their guidebook. I want to work more with this deck. I have so many, it's so hard to be like, oh, I'm going to work with this or not. Because I love the colors. And I love this reading in particular, and how it really did seem to just mesh for me, at least. And I appreciate you being here today. Like I said, I like getting to these 3 card readings because they help me learn how to read the cards for me, and to see connections and things like that. So I hope you have a good day, a good evening, a good night, happy dreams, daydreams, and night dreams. And if you're also someone who has a lot of nightmares, hang in there. Mine them for something if you can. Otherwise, just hang in there. And I hope to see you soon.